Was there punk rock in the air? Because punk rock was pretty underground in 1980.
Yeah, I mean, I had different neighbors that, that were into punk rock. It was like into, like the Dead Kennedys and DOA and things like that. And I just kind of, we lived way out in the suburbs. I mean, we were far out. There was no record stores around. So, we just ended up, I don't know, just whatever, we had neighbors that ended up getting, had older brothers and sisters that would have, had record collections. There was a band from the Bay Area called Fang that, they ended up, that was one of the first records I ever heard. So, and then we ended up, and then I don't know, when we got old enough and just figured out the bus system, we just ended up busing out to Berkeley and we'd take Bart out there and we didn't have any money, so we would just flip through the records all the time. So, so we learned a lot about just sitting there flipping through albums. Yeah.
These have the best covers. Let's take these.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, people have access to everything now. This is pre-internet. This is pre-being able to find anything you want at all times. So you really had to go search out punk rock at the time. I mean, it seems like if you were going to start a band in the mid-'80s, you'd be playing Eddie Van Halen and hair metal, and you didn't do that.
Which I like Eddie Van Halen.
I like him too.
He's a ripper. Yeah. I mean, I just got bored with listening to whatever was sort of on TV. I mean, because I definitely grew up like when MTV first started. That was I think I was 9 or something like that when MTV first started. So I mean, that was the first thing I ever saw. I think like even seeing images of like Devo or something was wow, or Missing Persons or something like that. It was that's different. It's not AC/DC or something like that. So I ended up, I don't know, it kind of just made me want to explore more, and so that's why I kind of ended up in Berkeley and Telegraph Avenue and kind of.
Was there a sense of community there then? I mean, did Telegraph Avenue feel like, I don't know, anarchist mecca or something?
Yeah, I mean, there was all kinds of different freaks and weird stuff that was going on. I mean, there was anything from literally people that were mentally insane that were standing on these soapboxes and saying how Jesus Christ is going to come and take us all. You have to be saved. And then there would be the opposite of this sort of almost Satan worshiping type people that were like yelling the same thing, and there would be homeless people everywhere, and then there would be the punks that would sit up on Sproul Plaza, who were the scariest people, because they would kick your ass, and especially if you ended up showing up, if you were like a new punk guy or something like that, if they saw just rip the shirt right off your back, they were mean, cruel people.
And of course you became one.
Yeah, but I was a nicer one for sure.
Was there? I mean, was it safety pins through the nose and that kind of stuff?
It wasn't really about sort of that necessarily. There was all kinds of people. I mean, there was a guy like, a guy Tim Armstrong who plays in Rancid was, he worked at Blondie's Pizza, and he was like he was a strange guy. He wasn't necessarily, the typical punk rock thing. I mean, there's a lot of, a lot of things in Berkeley where it's like there's still that element of hippie culture in a lot of ways. So there was the guys with the mohawks and the big hair and leather jackets, but there was a different element also, like of people that were a lot smarter too.
Tie-dye, peace and love kind of thing?
Yeah, with the mohawk. No, not necessarily that, but you just end up meeting these people that were involved in a different way, that were involved in politics, creating a place like Gilman Street, creating a place like having their own fanzines, wasn't necessarily just about, I was more, came from the musical side of it, where these other people they were just as important and just as influential as far as the scene was concerned. It was like, they were even more important in a lot of ways. People that were just put out, that would do cartoons, and there's one guy, recently I just read something where this guy did a cartoon of every single day of his life in like a year or something like that. So just sit there, it's like, today I listened to records and thought about some girl that doesn't want to date me. So,
sounds like a punk rock song.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of punk rock
songs. I've written a lot of those, that's for sure.
When did you know you could sing?
I've been a singer since I was 4. I ended up, I don't know, my parents took me in for a piano lesson. And my dad was a jazz drummer too, so music was always throughout my house all the time. So, I don't know, I just ended up, if I wanted to play guitar, I was 4, but my hands weren't big enough. And so they said start on piano, which sucked. I hated it. I appreciate it now, but back then it was, So, and this woman noticed that I was singing along, and then she ended up, I ended up going to, she just said, do you want to try singing at, these different functions? Like I would go to veterans hospitals and convalescent hospitals and children's hospitals, and just, it was a pretty, it was a great experience for me. I mean, I would end up, I would do songs like, oh God, like Broadway musical type songs, Like, if you can, imagine like a 9-year-old singing the song Satin Doll, which was really bizarre, but a huge experience. I ended up learning a lot from it. So.
Do tapes exist of this? Can we blackmail you?
I think my mom might have a few VHS tapes around.
Be nice to her.
Yeah, I know.
No, well, I mean, that probably, one of the things that made Green Day happen was you have melodies. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think it came from doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those things. It was the first, my oldest memory that I have is making music and singing and playing guitar. I started playing guitar when I was 8. So all that stuff was, definitely carried over. I was embarrassed about being a singer. I didn't really talk about being a singer to my friends. So I think we tried to get, like, when we were playing the heavy metal or whatever, trying to find someone. I just wanted to play guitar. So we ended up trying to find other people that could sing, and it was just impossible. So I don't know, and I started getting into Husker Du and the Replacements and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll sing now.
Yeah, no, it's easier to find a guitarist than a singer.
Yeah, guitarists are a dime a dozen, man.
When you write songs, do they come quickly? Are they like a bolt of lightning, or do you sit there sort of agonizing over each word? It's all different. A song like, I don't know, songs like, American Idiot or, 2,000 Light Years Away or something like that. Those songs came really fast. Really?
Those sometimes songs just kind of write themselves, or Waking Up When September Ends came really fast. Huh. But a song like, Longview, it seemed like that song just took forever to write. It was all because it was, it started out with a drum beat, and then Mike wrote a bass line, which is a whole different story altogether about how Mike wrote that bass line. And then,
tell us.
Oh God. I came home from. We all lived in the same house in Richmond, California, and I ended up coming home, which we were terrible tenants at the time. We ended up chopping up the stairs for firewood, and so
The paradise.
I know. So